Let's analyze further the Trophies per Champion update in Tennis Clash, a sports game published by White.Life Studios. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel Gameplay 365 and to turn on the bell if you like this video. On the 28th of October 2024, Tennis Clash team released a new update changing quite significantly the way players approach the game, and it is called the Trophies per Champion update. I had some first impression on it in a video published a bit earlier. Now that I have played more matches with more characters, I have noticed some details. Let me tell you what I have noticed. Feel free to give your feedbacks about those details in the comments of this video. About the Star Champion choice by TC first, well, it is quite puzzling sometimes. It is hard, really, to understand how TC determines the Star Champion for some accounts. For example, on my biggest baby account, GP365 and 5, everybody watching my live streams know that I used either Leo or Anton or Kaito or Ibiki or Meili in the last 36 months in that account. However, the game somehow made Diana my Star Champion there, while I almost never play with her, not even in Club Slams, in the past 36 months in that GP365 and 5 account. It really puzzles me how my Diana could be selected as the Star Champion in that account. I mean, why wouldn't I play with Diana if Leo is a much better serve volley character? Even level 13 Leo is better, in my opinion, than level 15 Diana for serve volley, for instance. Now let's talk about the new user interface, which manages character selection and equipment. Well, it is not as user-friendly as before the update. It's rather cumbersome, but I guess that's the only way Tennis Clash has found to make it work for players. Right now, tapping on the champion in the home screen redirects to the equipment screen of that champion. That's okay, but I would love to have the possibility to quickly switch to another champion instead of having to tap on back and on the champions tab at the bottom to go to the list of champions. For example, it would be great if players can be redirected to the list of characters by simply tapping on the rounded part just above the champion's head in the equipment screen, or by scrolling down in the same equipment screen to see the list of characters, right? Some characters will always be used more than others. Some characters are simply too ineffective when players want to gain trophies with them. For example, characters designed to play with high serve big forehand or high serve 2 strong hands like Leo or Anton or Luke will always struggle if their opponents use appropriate strings, like strings having serve counter and long catch and stamina shield. This is the same problem for characters designed to play with the serve volley style, like Leo, Omar, Diana, and Ingrid. They will struggle when the opponents use a good string too. Besides, some characters having a too high trophies count will very probably have a hard time in tour matches as they are not designed to perform well in higher ranges of trophies. I think about Luke or Omar or Diana in my account, for instance. Those three characters have 2,500 trophies in my main account, and I surely don't want to use them because they will suffer too much versus counter punches, the playstyle that most of players will use above 2,500 trophies. Luke is almost only good for high serve big forehand or high serve 2 strong hands. Omar or Diana are good only for serve volley. And I know that opponents simply need to take a serve counter string with long catch to counter any of those three. And that is why players who try to push in trophies count will still rely mostly on counter punches, like Meili, Kaito, Ibiki, Florence. Or, if they can hit very hard and accurately, they can also choose Victoria or Anton. Those characters will still be the main sources of trophies. Those players seeking to push in trophies can also use their characters having the lowest trophies count. In my main account, for instance, level 10 Ingrid with level 10 items cards and 1,145 trophies is still giving a lot of trophies, as opponents don't have very good stats around that number of trophies. Well, unless they have dropped trophies, of course, to play with huge stats at lower ranges of trophies. Characters having level 13 max should be used less than others if the player has level 14 or level 15 item cards. Because if they reach a high trophies count with level 13 characters, they will have problems when they are matched with opponents having almost the same trophies count but playing with level 14 or level 15 characters, and at that moment, one player will have items cards capped at level 13, while the other player can use level 14 or level 15 items cards. Such a match is not balanced at all, of course. That being said, if a level 13 max character is having a low trophies count, matches should be balanced, as he will face mostly opponents having characters being at level 12 or level 13 too. The trophies dropping tactic will ruin the game experience for many players having low stats. With the matchmaking being made on trophies count, players will be tempted to drop trophies of their strong characters to get very easy wins for the club, something which is very useful when there is an intense club league fight versus another club. Imagine that I drop trophies of my melee signature move level 5 having level 15 items cards to 1,800 trophies. Do you think that matchups are going to be fair versus my opponents having 1,800 trophies but level 12 or level 13 cards? I think that Tennis Clash team needs to address this trophies drop strategy used by many players by matching players based on their total power, for instance, if possible. For example, a player having 320 total power cannot be matched with a player having 420 total power, but rather with a player having 330 or 340 total power max. And only if there is no active player looking for a match at the same time, one should fall back on the similar trophies matchmaking system. This update rewards grinders who have a decent win ratio, of course, if they fight in the global ranking. The more you play after this update, the more trophies you will get if your win ratio is decent, and the higher your global rank will be. That changes a lot versus before the update, when you can play a lot but still not progress in trophies if you are unlucky with matchups and lose trophies as much as you gain, making your progression too slow. Nowadays, if you make the effort of playing a lot on all characters of your roster, provided you win more often than you lose, you will progress significantly versus competitors who don't play much. Indeed, in the past, some excellent players could simply start playing the 2 or 3 last days of the Grand Tour season to reach the top global ranking. It is not possible anymore with the Trophies per Champion update. Since this update, the winner of each Grand Tour season is compulsorily the one who has played very well on a lot of his characters, not only on 1 or 2 characters. That is a good reward from the game to players who are active, and that encourages most active players to be even more active and to open Tennis Clash to play a few matches every now and then instead of only playing 30 minutes a day to gain enough trophies to progress in the global ranking using one character only. Another thing to notice is that it is easier to play in Tour for smaller accounts with level 9 cards, for instance, after the update. With low trophies counts, it's easier or more balanced for a lot of accounts to play in Tour with lineups mainly made of level 9 or level 10 cards versus before the Trophies per Champion update. With my baby account Liberty 365, for instance, matchups were much tougher before in Tour, not anymore after the update, especially if I choose to play with champions having lowest trophies counts. It is a renewed game experience for players who had a hard time finding normal matchups in Tour before the update. Another thing to notice is that it's much harder to hunt a player fighting for the top rank in the global ranking after the update. For players fighting for the win in Grand Tour season, this is not easy anymore for some players to try and hunt other players fighting for a top rank. Indeed, if before the update, some players could wait for a targeted player to go online and start playing, and then try to look for a match at the same time than this player to hunt him, trying to make him lose trophies. Since this update is much harder to organize such a hunt. Before this update, it was easy to hunt a player as he has only one range of trophies and would be matched versus other players having very high trophies count. Nowadays, matchups are made with much closer ranges of trophies, but for one character only among 14 characters, and the hunters can't know the number of trophies that the character used by the hunted player has. Indeed, the player who would have a very high number of trophies and who knows being hunted can now change character after each match, making it much more improbable for the hunters to find him in matchups. For instance, he can play one match with a character having 2,200 trophies and then immediately switch to another character having 2,400 trophies and then switch to another character having 2,000 trophies and then take another character having 2,300 trophies, etc. To hunt him nowadays, the initial hunters must be very organized and be 5 or 6 minimum to play at the same time than the hunted player. They must each use a character having different levels of trophies like 2,100, 2,200, 2,300, 2,400, 2,500, etc. And even then, it's not sure they will find a hunted player because he could have decided to play at another range of trophies or lure them by being online and active but only in friendlies, so the hunters wait for nothing. About the star character. Well, the star character is the champion who has reached the highest number of trophies in the player's account. The star champion is exempt from the level cap rule, meaning they can wield high level gear even if they are not yet leveled up to match the item's level. So for instance, if my Ingrid was having the highest number of trophies in my account versus other characters, then even if Ingrid was at level 8, she can use item cast having level 12 or 13. If a different champion has more trophies than the current star champion's trophies count, he or she will become the new star champion and get the benefit of not having the equipment level cap. So if I wanted to make Kaito the new star, I need to either drop my melee's trophies count or increase Kaito's trophies count to overtake my melee's. Actually, if I wanted to make Kaito my star champion in my main account, it would be much easier dropping trophies of my melee than gaining trophies with my Kaito to make him have more trophies than my melee, as it is way harder to win with Kaito than with melee once you have almost 2,800 trophies. Let's talk now about club slams. They can be won more easily with wins in tours after the update, because it's easier for players to unlock than play in Tour 9 or Grand Tour, and because once they have been allocated a tour, all characters will play in that tour even if they have very low trophies count. Players will generate more slam points with wins in high tours. There will be more slam points even during the first 3 days, which don't have the double slam points from tour or tournaments matches bonus. Club members just need to grind more in tours to generate slam points now. Players gain way more trophies after this update, and that is less frustrating to watch in a match's history. Even when players beat opponents having lower trophies, they get 9 or 10 trophies without win streak bonus and 12 or 13 points if they have a win streak bonus. Several wins in a row, even using different characters. Of course, the total trophies count of each player is much higher now versus before the update, roughly 12 times more, so it's normal that the number of trophies that players gain after each win is much higher in proportion. Still, it's less frustrating to see that you gain 10 or 12 points instead of 1 point after each win. It's not the same dopamine at all, even if, once again, it's the same proportion of trophies gained than before. Players are encouraged to play several matches in a row and to try and win, and it's a good dopamine to motivate players to be more active. There is a win streak bonus for players who manage to win several matches in a row, even using different characters. From the second win and above, players get 2 more trophies per win, and that is a very good thing that Tennis Clash team has done. Let's talk now about the trophies reset. After this trophy per champion update, if trophies of characters are 2,200 or above, they will be reset at the end of each Grand Tour season, keeping 80% of the previous season's trophies count only. So if any of your character is having a trophies count close to 2,200, try to reach 2,200 minimum on that character so that he or she can be reset at around 1,760 trophies for the next Grand Tour season, instead of keeping a higher trophies count, like 2,150 trophies for example, which would make that character get tougher matchups right from the start of the next season. If the automatically allocated tour to the player is too high, he will progress with more difficulty. Before the update, players can unlock only Tour 6 or Tour 7 and then avoid unlocking Tour 8. They would do that to play Pop a Barrel or Ace Academy more easily, as they would need fewer Pop Stamps and Ace Academy tickets. After the update, players can be allocated a too high tour, like a Tour 9, while they never asked for it. Then they will have to be more active in the game to collect enough Pop Stamps and Ace Academy tickets to get the same number of tries in Pop a Barrel and Ace Academy than before the update, and that will make him progress with more difficulty. Players who want a simple tennis game will be disappointed. It is more complicated now to play Tennis Clash, which was a very pure and simple game end of 2019, but this is probably the only way that the publisher has found to encourage players to use more characters and to diversify their gameplay. And finally, players who kept a lot of character cards in stock without upgrading will have a huge advantage just after this update, because they can have characters at very low trophies, and then they can immediately upgrade those low trophies characters to increase the equipment level cap. And then when they go to play in tour with those low trophies characters, they will face mostly opponents having very low stats. That makes matchmaking very unbalanced, and that is why I keep thinking, like I said in other parts of this video, that the matchmaking should be done based on a similarity in total power between two players, not on their trophies count. Well, I hope you enjoy watching me make some further analysis on the trophies per champion update in Tennis Clash, a sports game published by Wildlife Studios. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel Gameplay 365 and to turn on the bell to stay tuned for new videos of Tennis Clash. Thank you a lot for your support, and see you soon on Gameplay 365. Bye-bye.